Hi, friends. We at GLC would like to take a quick moment to thank you for watching our programs on this platform, and we'd like to ask you for a little favor. Would you please go beneath this video and click the subscribe button? Did you know that by simply subscribing to the GLC YouTube channel, you can help us financially support the programs on this platform? You'll need to be signed into YouTube beforehand. But if not, simply click the subscribe button and YouTube will automatically walk you through the steps to sign in or to create an account. By taking these simple steps, you will not only ensure that you continue to receive our unique programming and gain instant access to the hundreds of videos we post, but more importantly, you'll also be telling YouTube that GLC's content is worth watching and promoting. Likewise, if you enjoyed a specific program, please click the thumbs up button below, which also helps inform YouTube that this is a program worth recommending. Finally, once you have logged in and subscribed, please click the notification bell below in order to receive announcements when we post new content. As usual, feel free to post your questions and comments in the comments section below. We always love hearing from our friends and viewers. Again, thank you for watching and supporting God's Learning Channel. We couldn't spread the message of the gospel without you. Be blessed, and we hope you enjoy the show. Hey folks, Brent here. You're in for a treat right here on set, a lot of the Southwest set at GLC. I've been waiting to bring you this guest for quite some time. He's an amazing brother. He's a pastor of pastors. He's also been a successful businessman, built a powerful church, led TFAC at one time, and a new mission for a new season to raise up a whole new generation of pastors while encouraging existing pastors around the world with his new book, Pastor's Playbook, Volume 1, by none other than the Ricky the Griffin. How you doing, Ricky?
I'm good, Brent. Thank you. I'm glad you can get all that out in one breath.
Well, Ricky, you know what? People who know you, everyone I know who knows you, they love you, and you're known for your humor. And telling it, I call you coach, man. Just tell it like it is. But you know what? Even behind that, though, is a fearless resolve and a desire to see people come to Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And in this case, I even tested it out, man. I got the ebook, Pastor's Playbook Series, Volume 1, Ricky Griffin off of Amazon.
Right.
And it's on my phone. And I thought it'd be fun to even use this as I'm talking to you, too, because it's so vital. But, Ricky, before we go into that, man,
okay.
Man, the world, what's going on with the whole world? I mean, the world needs Jesus like nothing else, man.
Well, I listen to a few prophetic people, and I get into that. I think we're fixing to see some of the ones I'm listening to that's really, I think, really hears from God.
Yeah.
Is there's a reckoning coming that God's going to take over again.
Wow.
And the evil is just going to be wiped out. I think it's really close. The lady I listen to says the clock is on 12, and that the Lord says, and the evil will be gone, as in gone. And then he says, my glory will fall.
Wow.
And there's going to be a transformation of wealth and a transformation of health. Who would want to be sick when they got all the money they can spend? So
yeah.
He says, I'm gonna make you all wealthy and healthy by returning what's been stolen for centuries from you folks. So and then there's going to be this great harvest. So, I'm kind of excited about it. I was kind of one of those doubters, but this lady's been talking for 2 years, And I've been watching everything she says that starts happening, and I'm like, okay, I'm not a doubter anymore. I'm just waiting on the time to see these people that are evil to be taken out of this world. So, uh, anyway, I think it's a great time to be alive and serving Jesus, man. Oh yeah.
Well, I was talking to Heather Thomas Van Deeren. We do a show called Warrior Talk. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Every day that we wake up, it's a luxury. There are people who didn't wake up today, Ricky.
That's exactly.
You woke up today, so did I.
I'm glad to be up too.
I'm glad you are too. You made a trip this morning just to be here right now.
I did. I drove from Amarillo to Midland this morning.
Well, I'm glad you did. The last bastion of American freedom, West Texas, the Panhandle. And by God, literally by God. But you know what? I was talking to Heather and I said, it reminds me of Haman, that ancient spirit that wanted to kill God's people. And literally, as of the week of this recording, 2 terrorists from Afghanistan, from a previous generation, this effort to import an illegal army is starting to backfire. But, Esther still said, let's fast for 3 days.
Yep. She
still had a mandate. And, Xerxes could not reverse the order. He gave a new order for the Jews to be able to defend themselves.
Right.
So they still had to fight to have the victory. And I really believe what you say. I've been feeling that too, a harvest of souls, and God willing, this transfer of wealth too. But you know what though? We still have to play our part. And it's never been more important now than for existing pastors and for this new rising generation of leaders and pastors and ministers. The principles are all the same in your Pastor's Playbook series, but it's time that we prepare to play our parts.
Well, that's the reason of this. If what are we going to do with all these people that are coming to Christ, not because we did anything, but because the Holy Spirit brought them, but they're going to need to be discipled and raised up. And man, that's when I am going to be ready to go, because they're going to be hungry for everything that we I won't have to be very smart anymore,
That's good news for me.
That'd be easy. Yeah. But when God does something, in fact, it's according to these prophets, it's going to be the biggest fall of His glory in history, including Pentecost. And it's because there's so many all at once that are just going to know it's God.
Yeah.
And I believe the series that you and I have worked on, that you're a big help, and you know more about the book than I do, really.
Well, it's not hard when you have good principles and the things you've lived out, things that you've done.
I understand, but
I just got to help you publish it.
You do help me do that, but I do know that there's a lot of pastors out there that, and elders and leadership, that sometimes I've had them question about the call. That make a comment, well, I don't know that you need a call, because there's so many that just gets placed in a seat and they're now called the lead pastor.
Right.
But they never really have pastored a church. They never felt the call of God. And let me just tell you, as I look into this camera, there needs and has to be a call from God. Romans 11:29 says, for God's call and His gift are irrevocable. You might forget about that call, but God never forgets the call. That it may take you years to reach that place that you come to the call that God had on your life. He had that call on your life according to Psalms 139, in the secret place in the womb, God knew you by name. And he was sitting there telling you all about what you were going to do someday. And he put a call and a dream in you. That dream's a God dream. It's not your dream. I used to ask people, Brent, what would you do if you money was no object, you could do anything you want, and you couldn't fail?
Yeah.
And I'd say, now, whatever that is, that's what God put in you.
Yeah.
From the beginning of time.
Uh-huh.
So
And I'm doing that.
I watch you all the time.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm doing that, man.
Every day, and you're always in a good mood. It blows my mind sometimes.
Oh, well, there's a reason for that, bro.
I understand, dude. You're a blessing.
Well, brother, you're a blessing. And of course, my call, my position is to ignite the greatness in people. And it's to lift people up. And, it's so funny. God will give me favor and platforms, and I'm to give them away. Mm. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Right.
If it wasn't me sitting in this chair, it'd be somebody else. But it's a joy when I see people who have a heart for people, and they have something to say, and they can reach people that I can't. Or they've done things that they've been where I haven't been. They can show others the way. You know what it's like to follow your call. It wasn't just being a successful businessman. You followed your call, and let's talk about that in the church in Borger.
Okay. I'll tell you, I as a young man, I surrendered my life to Christ. I've got a brother, a lot of family that were pastors. I thought that was what I was supposed to do, so I surrendered to ministry early on, and felt like I had a call on my life. But then, I get in high school, I'm like, I don't know if that's what I want to do, and especially since it wasn't a cool thing to be doing about that time in 1970, of being a preacher boy. So I kind of run from God on that. Let me just say, you can't ever run from God. You might run, but you can't run from God. He's just going to be there wherever you end up. He's already there. So, but I did. I run and made some bad choices. Went through a divorce. Ended up years later, I met Pam, my wife now, and we got married in May of 1983. We've been married 42 years this past May.
Wow.
And it's been awesome. And she's kind of went through every jump. She calls it our 10-year itch, that I did the a furniture store for 10 years, and then God changed my life. I did that for 10 years. And then I did TFAC at Trinity Fellowship for 10 years. And now then Brent comes along and he says, my best days are still coming. And I'm like, man, Brent, I don't know what I can do different than, but for whatever reason, you started pulling a dream out of me again that I'd kind of, and even told you, well, I thought my time was up. I'm getting too old for anybody to care about what I think or say. And Brent started pulling life back out of me of like, dude, you've got a lot of people, you're still pastoring, you just don't realize it
right
on your Facebook page.
You have more followers than most people do.
Yeah.
And they watch you and they listen to you.
Well,
and you know what it's like to build a church.
Yeah.
And you know what it's like to, experience things they don't teach you in church or Bible college or ministry school.
We started doing stuff when I was still in ministry full time, calling it strategic planning, doing systems and strategic plans. And I understand that's good stuff. I never had one Grace Fellowship Church. We never had a strategic plan. The only strategic plan we had was show up, love on people, and invite people to Jesus Christ. People starts getting saved and baptized in the Holy Spirit. That's all the strategic plan you need. And you need to let people minister to people. I believe that.
And see, to you, that's a simple statement. But do you know how many churches don't let people minister? Come in, sit down, shut up, give your tithe, and leave. Or it's so volunteer heavy. Hey, man, I know. I mean, I planted 3 churches, and 80-20. 80% of the people enjoy the work of the 20, but what excites me about you is because I want the churches to be successful and pastors to be successful.
Yeah.
And because you have led a lot of pastors in direction, I thought, my gosh, man, I can't wait to get Ricky, encouraging people on the airwaves, putting out positive media as we battle the prince of the power of the air. That's what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
And it lives on, but, in TFAC, those who may not know what that is or what that was or how many were involved, tell us about TFAC because we're going somewhere with this.
Okay. TFAC is acronym for Trinity Fellowship Church, Trinity Fellowship Association of Churches. We had Pastor Jimmy Evans out of his own heart when Larry Titus left Trinity Fellowship Church. He put Pastor Jimmy Evans in charge. Jimmy was an appliance salesman for his dad in Amarillo, Texas, and really didn't know what he was doing, but Larry turned over a church of 900, and I remember hearing Pastor Jimmy say, I did such a great job the first few months, I grew it down to 500. So, but he was sitting at his desk one day, and I love this because Pastor Jimmy Evans had a heart for pastors, there's no question, more so than anybody I've ever known. And he said, God, if you'll help me out of this, if you'll help me do this, I'll help pastors for the rest of my life. And God started teaching him. He didn't know how to do a funeral. He didn't know how to do a wedding.
Right.
Man, I could relate to that. I'm like, I didn't think about it when I took the church, and I did a funeral before I did preach my first sermon. And I'm like, man, Pam, I forgot. I've got to do weddings and funerals. I forgot about that part. But I did all the things that I had to that I didn't want to just for the privilege of doing what I wanted to. You see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
It's preaching the word of God and loving on people. I'll do it like I heard you saying in the earlier interview. I do that for free from now on.
Oh, yeah.
Because God has always been Pam and I's provision. Trinity Fellowship, Grace Fellowship, the furniture store. All of that was a way of a means of money, but ultimately God was our provider. He's always provided. And in fact, he always will. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And I just happen to believe it.
Well, God is good, and really all good things come from God.
Yeah.
I'm honored by your words about helping reignite a dream. I got the nickname Dream Maker 40 years ago. Going to do some workshops, Dream Maker workshops.
Well, I wasn't lying to you folks. I was telling you the truth because literally he calls me at least, if not every week, every other week, just to let me know and encourage me, man, Pastor Ricky, I've got another dream for you. I got another thought. And I'm like, dude, I can't even do now what you're talking about. I'm like, this guy don't only help people when he's fixing to talk about dreaming. His dreams are about 5 dreams down past mine. And he'll call me and just like being here today, it's out of my character. It's out of my personality to come and do these kind of things. I was always scared to sit on a set that I didn't look right, I didn't smell right, I didn't know what to do right. But my friend here, Brant, said, "You come down, I'll make it easy on you. We'll just have a conversation." And to be honest, that's kind of what it feels like today. I'm just talking to Brant about what I've been through.
Well, Ricky, you, like so many who are watching, I don't think that you're always aware of the value that God's put in you and you and me, because we're in this together. And because of your experience leading and guiding pastors, plural, and hey, bud, there's a lot of people out there with a call in their life, but not everybody was chosen to head up TFAC. Not everyone has done what you've done. And I see the value. I always get excited when I see people who can encourage people. I've quoted you more than you know. When you talk about encouraging, you're putting something back in.
You're putting courage in. That's, yeah.
But I hadn't heard that before, Ricky Griffin. But for me, it's a privilege because I see the people that are going to benefit from what God's given you. Also in Pastor Playbook series, I mean, you address a lot of things in here, not just the calling and the mission. You encourage people about pitfalls, to avoid, things like pride in the pulpit or neglecting the secret place or isolation from accountability, comparison and competition, burnout through overextension. You see, some of you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
they do.
One of the greatest compliments you can hear in broadcasting or preaching or consulting is, you know what? I'm so glad somebody finally said it. I'm so glad somebody finally said it.
Right.
But when you are encouraging and instructing this new generation, we have to have an army of ministers ready for this harvest of souls.
Right.
And you got to learn. The best way to learn, I'd rather learn from someone else's mistakes than make all my own. Things can happen. God is a God of suddenlies. And just like, you didn't know about the ministry that you're doing in television. I already see it. I've already seen it. And again, I'm a grunt in the mud. That's my job.
Hope you're blind.
Well,
I tell you, while you're speaking on that, with Jimmy Evans wanting to help pastors, it burst something in me that, being apostolic, if you will, of if I've got something, I want to help somebody else.
Right.
I want to give it away. Kind of like what you were talking about, what you do. If God, I'll put it the best way I know how that you put to me that made so much sense, that you're like God puts these arrows in your life. And God's like me, I ask you, I'm like, why did you pick me to help, dude? I mean, I'm just sitting home watching Gunsmoke, dude. And I tell that to Brant, and he said, Ricky, God gives me these people that he says that's an arrow.
Yeah.
And I want to help launch him, because if people knew him, if people could see, it made me feel so good that, I haven't been heard as much as some of these other pastors that, and Brant said, you'll be heard. God's put a mark on you, and I'm going to take that arrow and I'm going to shoot it. And I'm like, man, the day you told me that, I was so excited that, you know what? Because I believe that if you be obedient to what God's told you to do, he'll promote. God is in the promoting business. If you promote what God promotes, you'll be promoted. And I've always believed that, and you're kind of making it come true for me by helping with the cover on the book, helping write the book.
Well,
just with
it was
thoughts.
already there. It was already there.
Yeah.
And the things I've heard you say, the things I've watched you do, you know, even during this broadcast here, we're just real people.
Yeah.
You know, and again, you know, I was encouraging someone, I wanted to call somebody out and say, you know what, you know how I know you're nothing? Because I'm nothing. And we're all nothing
Ain't that
without God.
exactly?
And God makes men who they are. And so without God, I'm nothing. Say it, without God, I'm nothing. But with him, I'm everything that the world needs. And, you know, even during this filming here, you know, watching you talking to the camera, I got excited because, and this is personal, I don't mind saying it, you know, I know what it's like to be on the road and desperate, not monetarily, but just in my spirit, to be in anguish and exhaustion.
Yeah.
And turning on TV, on the television, and I needed an encouraging word. I needed that. And I didn't get it. And so every time I look in the camera like I'm doing now, and I have guests that I encourage to do that, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Because I was there more than once. There was a time in my life, Ricky, I had a Jack Daniels in one hand and a gun in the other.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be around.
I've heard that story.
And,
That's awesome.
you know what I mean? What's true, but what I'm saying is we are here for you.
Yeah.
Don't want your money. Don't need your money. Okay? I mean, GLC, it takes money to operate, but I don't work for GLC. I'm a volunteer. You see all these shows I'm on? That's volunteer. It's because I believe in this.
Right.
But it also, I'm honored that they trust me to bring on people like Ricky. Because the bottom line is, Ricky, you underplay your credibility, and I respect that. But the fact is, we have got to engage, and we've got to use what we have to win people to Jesus. Now, we have a job to do.
Right.
And so you know, I mean, you were around during the Jesus People movement. I came in during the last part of the Jesus People movement. I watched it. I was there. I was there when the platform became a stage.
Hey, I was
when it
there.
became a smoke show and Starbucks and Disneyland and all that. I watched it.
I was a teenager when the Jesus movement happened in the early 70s.
Yeah.
I graduated from high school in 73, and I remember some of the, the long hair and the hippies coming into church because they'd got in this Jesus movement. And I tell you, it's sad for me to say, but the church kind of stopped it.
Right.
They didn't want, man, these guys were ready to come in and serve. What can I do? And they're like, no, that don't look right. That y'all
It happened again after Promise Keepers too.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't have to happen now.
There's a new thing happening.
Yeah.
It's a God thing that nobody's going to get credit for. As I forgot, I'm going to go back to our book, but the thing I try to make different than TFAC is Pastor Jimmy Evans taught me it's relational based.
Right.
It's all based on relationships, like me and you and some other friends that we have in common, Todd and some of those. It was built out of relationships.
Right.
And we continue to do that because it's a relational ministry that we have.
Right.
And we're not trying to grow anything, but you just can't stop it.
Well, it's a part of you, it's a part of you. And, I was talking to Bob Callender earlier, who's starting these new Jesus People gatherings. And, I'm not sure what the final name is, but he's just doing it. And I'm helping him do it because that's my job. Okay. I'm a grunt in the mud, dude. And you see a part of me, happy-go-lucky TV guy, celebrity interviewer. Man, hey, Lord, what do you want today? And that's the joy that I have because, quite frankly, I didn't think I'd live this long. And so every day is a new day. It's a borrowed day, and it's used for the kingdom. Just so God. No, man. I'll tell you what. I'm just fortunate to wake up in the body today.
Right.
But Ricky, the pastors that need encouragement right now, that are being targeted, literally targeted, even physically targeted. This is a time to not survive. This is a time to not be on the defense. It is a time to take dominion and to outlive, outprosper, outshine the darkness.
Right.
I work with celebrities that Lucifer elevated them. Well, God uses me to elevate his celebrities, because there's no small people in the kingdom.
Amen.
Everybody's a celebrity to me. But, you're demonstrating even today, man, what I saw. And that is that people need the Lord. People need Jesus. And these who have been called to preach the word, the incredible honor to preach the word. Oh, man, what an honor it is to do that. It's not, in Bible college, I'll be honest with you, there are guys that it was like a job. Yeah, on the job, But for those who have a fire in their hearts, that no matter what they did, no matter how much money they have or don't have, they're going to do this because it was put in there before they were born. Those are the people that you lead and that you speak to. But how many pastors were involved with TFAC when you were doing that?
About 75, 60 that were pretty much very heavily involved.
Right.
And all the way up to 75 that came to a lot of stuff, but really wasn't drawn into our coaching groups and what we started there with. We called them coaching groups. It's where we have one in Oklahoma, Texas, 2 in Texas, 1 in Kansas, and 1 in North Carolina.
Right.
And we call it coaching groups. It wasn't because we were going to be there coaching. It's because pastors coach each other. And if you've got just one idea, then you just got one idea. But if you got 10 pastors with an idea, we got 10 ideas. So it worked great, man. I heard one pastor say one time in Oklahoma, he said, Pastor Ricky, I'm leaving here today, and I've got titles to 10 sermons just by sitting in this room. And that's what happens, not even on purpose sometimes, how the Spirit is moving. And as we would pray for each other, listen to each other's, I'm telling you, sometimes pastors come in there just beat pulp from the church that they're pastoring.
Right.
And that's the reason Jimmy Evans said we need to be relational. Where he said, in fact, most pastors can't even trust to tell all their elders what they're going through. They need somebody that they can trust that doesn't have a horse in the race. So, they could call me and say, Pastor Ricky, I'm not calling to tell you I'm right. I'm just calling to tell you how I feel. And I could kind of say, okay, let's talk about it. Sometimes I'd say, well, you were probably wrong in this, but let's see what we can do to fix it. Or I'd say, no, you weren't wrong at all. Your feelings are not lying to you. Let's talk about how to make the next step. They just need somebody to listen to them that they can trust.
That they can trust. It's not easy being a pastor.
No.
You go on vacation, you can pretty much be sure there's going to be a secret meeting while you're gone, and you wonder if you're going to have a job when you get back. Yeah. That's reality, man.
Yeah.
Not always, but a good majority of the time it has been what I've seen with my own eyes.
Well, in some denominations, they set you up there in front of everybody about every 2 or 3 years and vote on you, whether you're going to be our pastor the next 2 or 3 years. That's some of the denominations out there. And they sit there and make you look at everybody that's voted for you. Now, how would you like to pastor that guy that looks kind of manifested out there, wanting to vote you out, and he's turning red as the devil himself, and you're like, and I've got to pastor this 2 more years.
And when you say pastor, see, Jeremy Sutton, I've referred to him before.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
Lifehouse Church in Midland. he not only is an incredible preacher and author, but he's a pastor. And he said, Brent, you got to walk alongside these people.
Yes.
Well, when you walk alongside people, if you're a true pastor, it's easy to blow in and out of town and take an offering everywhere you go. That's easy, man.
Oh, yeah.
You only need one sermon to do that. And yet, you know, not everyone who travels and does ministry does that, okay? No shame, no blame. All respect for those who do that. If you travel and you're dependent upon the Lord and you're ministering to everyone you can, hey, hats off to you. Thank you for answering the call. But you have to understand that in between the times you come, there's got to be someone walking alongside them, you know, even if it's a daily call.
Well, you're exactly right. You brought up some things in the book a while ago about things that go through a pastor. And you brought up the main one that was really working hard on me. So I figure if it worked hard on me, it works hard on everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm pretty average. And burnout.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was burnout. I told Pam when I finally figured out that, hey, I read this book. I really wasn't depressed. I told her I was depressed. And I said, I was just burned out. And I'll never forget, Pam said, well, it really doesn't matter whether you're depressed or burned out. We're not in border anymore. And it got me to thinking about what got me on that treadmill to start being like that. And I would have to say, and this is probably, Pastor, I want you to hear me real close. I got on that treadmill that it had to be better next Sunday than it was this Sunday. And it's got to be better the next Sunday. And you get going on that treadmill of performance that you got to be better, you got to do better, you got to, if you're not better, they're going to quit coming. And somehow the devil's got you know, running so fast to be better and do better that you're about to spin out of control. I remember sitting out there in my car. Everybody left the church that Sunday morning. I was the last one to leave and lock up, and I'm sitting in my car, and I said to myself, wow, I just got done, and I got to do it again. I mean, my week felt like Sunday, Monday, Sunday. Here we go again. And doing 2 services.
Well, you had built a successful church in the eyes of men. I mean, most pastors don't have a congregation that size.
I understand,
but were you running the ministry, or was the ministry running you?
You know what? If I could go back now to that church at the same age as I was when I left, and just go back to doing what got me there.
Yeah.
It wasn't the preaching that got me there. Man, I didn't know anything. When I started preaching at that little church, I hadn't even read most of the Old Testament. Man, I did a very little of the New Testament. But I just fell in love with God, man. Jesus changed my life. In my bedding room at the furniture store, I had a visitation, and I've never been the same again.
I know you can't leave it at that. You got to tell us a little about that.
Well, I was invited to go to Promise Keepers. A guy bought me a ticket. He come up to the furniture store and said, hey, I bought you a ticket. I want you to go to Promise Keepers this weekend, as in October of '94. I said, man, what's Promise Keepers? He said, well, it's going to be a weekend of preaching and prayer. And I said, I had a popsicle stick up under my watch. I was up front in my store putting because I stay home and win money on the weekend playing golf. And I said, dude, I'm not going to that this weekend. I don't want to hear a bunch of preaching and praying. And he said, well, I've already bought the ticket. It was like $69, including your meal. And I reached in my pocket, and I said, let me pay for that ticket. I'm not going. And I went home. I felt bad because I told him no. I decided I was going to go. And I start looking for my Bible, true story. I can't find it. I look everywhere for my Bible. And I finally tell Pam, have you seen my Bible? Which got her curiosity up, like she hadn't seen me looking for a Bible in years. and I finally found my Bible. I took it to work. That was on a Monday till Thursday. And I didn't know where to start reading. I started reading in the Psalms. And by Thursday morning, I got to Psalms 51. And we now know that's David's prayer of repentance, 10 through 51, 10 through 12. Created me a steadfast spirit, Yeah. And I get to that part, and it's already, my heart's getting softened all week. And I get to that, and I just break at that. And I'm like, God, that's what I want. I want your salvation. I want it right now. And dude, I had a real nice area that I sold mattresses, our bedding room area, and had it fixed up nice. It's early morning, and I said, God, I want you. I need you. If you're really real, dude, I don't know how long it lasted, but he showed up in that room. It got bright, and I thought I was there for a long time, probably wasn't 30 seconds that it lasted. But I had such peace and joy that I was never the same again. My twin brother can attest to that. A week later, he said, I don't know what happened, but my brother just acting like me one day, and a week later, man, he's different. And I ended up going to Promise Keepers, and that's when I come back home. People started getting saved at my church. I give my testimony. They asked me to give my testimony at First Baptist Borger. He told the people out at that little church, hey, I got a guy that can come fill in for y'all. And that's how I got started. I didn't really apply for no job. The guy just come up after I got through that Sunday and said, we want you to be our pastor. And I'm like,
whoa.
I'm like, well, dude, I can't do that. And I've been divorced. And he said, well, isn't she the only wife you've got? Yeah. I said, well, yeah, only one I can handle and afford. He said, well, then we want you to be our pastor. So I did. Uh-huh. I went out there. We got started. It was like going back 50 years from where we were. They were still singing the old hymns, when the roll is called up yonder, and all of those. And I was like, wow, that's back singing stuff back when I was a kid. And I was used to more of the worship and praise music stuff. But you know what? We were willing to do that because even that little church got on fire for God. They seen the excitement. Yeah. And it changed everything.
Life begets life, man.
Yeah. And what we're talking about this morning, that's what's coming, Brent. There is a day, and I think really close, that the glory of God's going to fall on everybody like it did me that day. And they're going to be like, oh, wow, what was that? And everybody's going to know what it is. It's God and His power and His glory. So,
the years we've been running together, I'd never heard that story.
No.
I just knew that you had a fire in your heart. You're effective. You're a leader. And you want to encourage you.
Tony Evans.
You've helped pastors.
Tony Evans, you know who he is.
Yeah.
He was speaking at Promise Keepers. I'm sitting on the floor, and he's preaching his sermon about a messed up man in a messed up city and a messed up church and in a messed up state. he goes through all of that, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is the best speaker I ever heard in my life.
Now that's the message he talked about.
Yeah. So,
you fix the man, you fix the family. I was there.
And he looked at me. I thought he was looking right at me like
maybe it was.
Like they used to say at my church, Pastor, you were talking directly to me. Well, no, I wasn't, but I'm glad you got it. So, but he said, are you a messed up man? And I'm like, yes, I am totally messed up. Because most men, it's no different today than it was in 94. Most young men with families have their priorities in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And like I did. And God wasn't even in the priority list until I came home. He became my number one priority. That now in the secret place that you mentioned a while ago.
Not neglecting the secret place. You know, God promises, draw near to me and I'll draw near to you. And so many times we neglect that. Yeah, the old saying that the war is won in the general's tent. The war is won in the general's tent.
That's good.
Well, the general's tent, man, is the tent of meeting, I believe. It's meeting with God. I need to be better about that. I mean, he's got me doing so many, you would not believe the things I'm involved with. I didn't ask for any of it, but I need to be better at that. What would you say to people that, man, God's got them in the game, but man, they really can't neglect the secret place? I want to know what you have to say about that.
How much time do we have?
We're doing great, brothers.
I really didn't understand, you know, Matthew chapter 6, when it's talking about when you go into your closet, it says, when you go to pray, shut the door and go in to pray. And some versions call that the secret place. Psalms 139 talks about going into the secret place. I'd always have gotten up, knew I needed to have a quiet time, as they call it. Like taking castor oil is how I looked at it. I get up asleep. You got to get up early in the morning, Ricky, to be with God. You got to get up at 5 o'clock and do without food and water and everything, and just sit there and, oh, God, I love you. You know, that's not what my father, once I started meeting in the secret place, just really more about him and a lot less about me. Here I am, God. Let's say this chair is where I've designated to be with God. When God sees me coming to this chair, he knows I'm coming to meet with him. And so that's what I do. I go in there. Sometimes I listen to music. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just lay on the floor and soak. But every time I meet with God, I'd challenge you to do that.
You know, Psalm 139, you mentioned that. Our lives have already been written. Yeah, I got a book, Red Pill Prophet, on Amazon. It's Jesus, not me. And as we speak, there's 2 young men in California going through that book that are hungry for Jesus. And when you learn your life's already been written, and that if you walk in his direction and follow him, everything works out the way it should. There are no surprises. There's not even a Hebrew word for coincidence, you know? And I'm very natural in this set because I know that if you're not the same person in real life as you are on the platform or the set, then there's a problem. And that anything that doesn't point to the Lord is not valid. You know, we're not space cadets. We're not puppets. No, we're just real people. And that's who Jesus is and who he was. And that's one of the things I love about you is one of the several things is, man, you're Ricky, no matter where you're at.
Oh, yeah.
And people love you, and there's different, I'll never forget the time, because you're a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and we're I think we were sitting at lunch, and because you've been on some commercials too,
Yeah.
some restaurant commercials with your humor and
Yeah.
but you said, man, I want the Dallas Cowboys to be my pallbearers.
Yeah.
Why?
So they could let me down just one last time. Yeah.
But God uses people are diamonds, and God uses different facets of your personality to reach people. When Jesus stepped on the boat with Peter, he didn't start preaching at him. He said, "Hey, he
Yeah.
just told him, try the other side of the boat." I mean, he reached him where he was, and his parables, right where the people are. They weren't literate people. But Jesus is always Jesus. And I've said it before, say it again. He's always really supernatural, but he's supernaturally real.
Oh, yeah.
Your approach to helping people, and again, I admire your humility. Not everybody, I believe it was about 800 people at Borger?
Yeah, at the peak.
At the peak of it.
Probably 600,
Right.
Well,
most churches are lucky if they got 75 people.
I understand.
But God used
Most
you.
are under 100.
Right. And to be able to pastor that type of a church and the way you did it and the focus that you maintain, the relational, but you're also teaching them the word, loving them with the love of Jesus. Not every pastor will ever have that, but they need the same principles to effectively pastor people. Today's pastor, and you may agree, you're not just pastoring people in your church. You're pastoring people in your community.
In the city.
That don't come to your church.
I guarantee you, that's what I told my church. I'm not just pastoring Grace Fellowship.
Yeah.
I'm pastoring the city.
Yeah.
But because we'll do funerals, we'll do what do you call it? Things that we do out in the community.
Outreaches, connection points, yeah.
And I mean, we did several for Frank Phillips College there, the community college. They wasn't having people show up to their games. And I told our church this Sunday, I want all of us to show up Monday night at the boys' basketball game. These kids come from everywhere. We had a couple of kids from Midland, in fact, playing. And they're used to just playing to nobody out there. And they come out that day to warm up, and there was 350 of us sitting out there in the stands, standing up and cheering. And it meant the world to those kids. And then the athletic director, who was my sound guy at the church, called me one day and he said, man, I'd like to host the volleyball tournament, which is this whole area, Midland, Amarillo, and all. I'd like to host that volleyball tournament here in Borger, but man, we just don't have the money. And I told him, I said, well, John, how much is it? He said, it's $5,000. Me and him were just talking about it on the phone the other day. I said, well, I'll write a check. I'll have them make out a check. Just come get it. We'll sponsor that. And he went to tell the president of the college. He said, hey, I got a sponsor for the volleyball tournament. He said, really, who'd you get? And he said, Ricky Griffin, the church is going to sponsor that. And this guy didn't go to church. He's like, are you kidding me? There's a church going to do that? It let me know one thing. The community's not expecting the church to do anything like that. They're wanting, usually they're wanting your money to come their way, not their money coming your way. And I still believe that the more you give away, the more you get. It's God's principles.
Well, you didn't stop there. I think you also helped the fire department or something.
Well, we did another thing. I just asked the church to pray about what God would have them do, and I went around to the fire department, the hospital, the school. We collected $47,000 2 weeks later on that offering. I give $18,000 to the fire department. I just went, before I took up the offering, I said, just write me down some things you'd like to have. And he wrote a new sound system to be able to talk inside from the truck inside to the fire, better equipment than we have. And he totaled it all up. If he could have the stuff he wanted that's not in the budget, I think it was $18,000. I walked in that day after the offering. The next day, had his check made out to the Border Fire Department. I carried it in to him for $18,000. He started weeping. Couldn't believe that church would do that. And I'm like, we bought those little blue, like you see the yellow things out on the highway when your light hits them, they reflect to let you know the turning thing or no passing. And we put blue ones in the middle of every street where there's a fire hydrant. So when the fire department's truck turns the corner and the light hits that reflector, he's like, there it is, it'll be right down there. And our church members went out going, man, it's cool to see those because I was a part of it. You just got to think outside the box on what you can do.
And literally outside the box.
Walls. Yeah.
You know, we are to be the light of the world. Jesus said, a city on a hill cannot be hidden. A lot of people don't know those were warning cities. It was a luxury to live in a warning city.
Yeah.
But if you didn't sound the alarm, there was a penalty for the watchman who did not sound the alarm. You know, I'm grateful, though, for pastors like you, Ricky. You're still a pastor. You still have congregation out there, but you're a pastor of pastors. And
thank you,
I'm excited. As long as there's an internet, people will see these words of encouragement too. And this isn't the first time. You know, I created a show for GLC in 2012 called Shepherd's Heart. And some of you may remember this, the #1 show for a long time.
Wow.
And it was about 6 pastors talking with each other. That showed me even then the hunger that was there, the need for encouragement. And how much more now?
Yeah.
And now we have a new generation coming up. The Z generation is rebelling against the darkness of previous generations. Someone needs to lead them. And, you know, I've told people before in ministry, that's one of the fields that, like when I was an adjunct professor, I was 30 years old then, man, who would have listened to me? But they did. But the older you are, the more you've been through.
Yeah.
There's wisdom in that. And I'm prayerful that this newest generation, that's exploding from the death of an acquaintance, Charlie Kirk, amazing young man.
Yeah.
And got to meet him in 2017. But talk about a seed going into the ground and dying and growing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're hungry. The need is there. People help people who help people. Why don't you help Ricky help pastors? You know, and there's more to come. You know, there's more events to have. Ricky, I would really love for you to consider having a Shepherd's Heart show here, leading that. You know, just consider that, because how much more needed is it now, more than ever? Just, don't want to put you on the spot. However,
yeah, you do.
Okay, I do. Yep. Bottom, I've seen you doing it in my heart, my spirit. So, I'm not going to say thus saith the Lord, but hey, you know me, and things I see tend to happen, and you don't see prophet on my business card. You know that this is a time right now. Everyone wants to be a prophet.
We're an apostle,
but nobody wants to be salt and too. Everyone wants to be an apostle, but nobody wants to work a job. And you know what? Paul wasn't too good to make tents. And for those who are bivocational ministers, that there's a wonderful thing when your dependency is not completely within the 4 walls. But you are an example, though, of what one little church can do. It wasn't a little church either, but one church can do to affect change for generations just by simply turning and looking at.
That church in Borger is still, I believe we left it with a spirit of generosity.
Yeah.
It was the spirit we brought in there that's still living today, and that church is still very generous to people in Borger.
Well, you know what? You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And you have helped a lot of people. God is helping you.
Yeah.
But
we're blessed.
These pastors, you battle, I don't want to say battle worn, but you battle ready and battle experienced pastors, you've got something priceless that the world needs.
Right.
And another example of that is Pastor's Playbook series on Amazon. Ricky L. Griffin on Amazon, Pastor's Playbook series. The first one, the calling and the mission, very, very important. But there's a lot of things that they're going to need to hear, and we're doing this for you.
Yes.
And we know the Lord will bless us by blessing each other because we are in this together.
We are.
And so be a pastor wherever you are, folks, but especially those on the front lines. We got some encouragement for you, and you are an encouragement to me. Thank you for joining me today on the Light of the Southwest, Ricky.
Privilege. Thank you.
Honored.
Yeah.
See you, my man.
Bye-bye.